DJ, when I look back at your first 2 weeks of gambling in the NFL, I'm instantly like thrown back to Chris Pratt's character early in Park and Rec, where you find out he's literally living in this really deep hole. I just imagine you in this huge hole, and I don't know what you're gonna do or how the hell you're gonna get out.
Well, you know what they say about what you to do when you're in a hole, right?
What do they say?
Keep on digging, baby.
Keep on digging, keep on drinking, and let's get loaded because this is the Loaded Box Podcast.
My opens have been weak, where we never finish first because we finished last.
Your openings have been weak, your picks have been weak, but guess what? It's week 3 and you can redeem yourself, DJ. What's going on, man? It's our gambling podcast. Are you ready to turn this shit around?
Let me tell you what, I am the best college football gambler in all of the nation right now. There's me and my buddy Logan.
Intern Logan. Yes.
We have a strategy and we can't lose. I was 9-1-1 this last Saturday, and the only loss was Clemson deciding to score a touchdown, so it would have been 9-0-2 at the end of that game. The week before, I think we lost 3 times. I was up $300 and $230 in the last 2 weeks, and I lost it all on Sundays.
What the hell happened? What the hell happens on Sunday? Like on Saturday, are you drinking before you make your picks? Are you sober? What are you doing differently Saturday compared to Sunday? There's got to be something.
Like there's more research going on Saturday. We're taking in more evidence. We're making a theme for the day. It's more stuff out there. When it's NFL, I feel like I know so much that I can like just make it just off of my brain. And NFL, like nobody can bet on the NFL. I feel like, and I can't. I won literally 2 games in 2 weeks.
I've used that excuse before that I know too much. That's a heady play. That's a good out. I like that. But yes, this is our second preview podcast of the week. Our first one was fantasy football focused. Make sure you check that one out. What'd you say?
Don't say that line you just said.
Fantasy football focused?
Yeah, don't say that.
Why?
That's the name of some douchebags podcast.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. All right, so the first one is focused on fantasy football.
There you go.
And this one is gambling focused. So all you degenerates like us, like me, like DJ, you're going to love this one. We go game by game, as always, giving our straight up picks, giving our against the spread picks, and specifically highlighting those we are going to keep track of for our annual record. So last week, I went 2-1, but despite a winning record, I lost 3 units because my game of the week Bears. I don't want to get into the specifics, but if you watched that game, it was a shitty, bad beat. Anyone that listened to me, I'm sorry. I'm going to make it up this week. I'm going to do my damnedest to make it up this week. But DJ.
How is it a bad beat, though? They should have lost.
I don't need to go into the play-by-play because it would take up half of this fucking podcast. They didn't lose. They came back and won that game ridiculously. After I was cheering for them to lose once they weren't going to cover. But DJ, you went 1-4. You lost 9 units, bringing your season tracked total to 1-8, minus 20 units. How many shovels do you have? Are you going to get out of that hole?
I mean, you got to keep digging, and I don't go home. I just go hard. That's all I'm saying.
I like it. I'm keeping the podcast like. We're obviously doing this to be entertaining, but we want to win money too. So let's try to get this going. I'm 4-3 on the year, but I'm minus 5 units. So my confident games aren't doing as good as my least confident games. So if I tell you I'm not very confident in something, hammer it. That's my advice moving forward.
You want to know why those are the games you're winning?
Tell me why.
Those are the games you're least comfortable with. Is the smaller unit games.
Say the phrase.
I mean, I'm not comfortable unless I'm uncomfortable. And I've been way too comfortable so far this year, I think.
As I watch DJ literally leaned back in his chair, hands behind his head, you are going to have a shitty week. So let's kick it off. NFL Week 3. Let's start with your team. We got the Broncos at the Packers. Packers favored by 7.5, over under 42.5.
Let me sideline this start first. Here's my strategy for this week before we get into this.
I like
What I'm going to do this week is I've done zero prep for this podcast, just how I like it. I thought, first off, I was like, well, you know what? Monday night, I wanted to go Browns and under. Funny thing is the Browns and under hit. I was going to go Browns and under, and I was like, fuck it. My decision-making has been so bad. I'm going to let my son take a shot at this, give him a test run, and if he does well, I'm gonna give him 4 games. He's gonna choose him. I'm gonna go with those picks. I gave him 2 chances. I put on a stuffed plane for the Jets, a jet, and a stuffed dog because the dog found the Browns, and he picked the jet. And then I said over under, and he picked the over. Missed both of them. So I was like, fuck this kid. He's bet just like me. Threw him in the garbage, and now I'm just gonna go with what feels right throughout the podcast, and I'm going 5 units every time. I'm digging myself out.
You literally live too close on him. Your juju has worn off on your son already, who's not even in kindergarten, and he's already bad luck. Like, you have ruined a child.
5 units, everyone.
So, let's hear it. Broncos at Packers. What do you got?
All right, Packers have been red hot. Broncos stink. Joe Flacco stinks. The Packers actually have an offense unlike the Bears. I don't want to say that I'm right about Trubisky because I don't want to be too early, and I don't want to be like those suckers that get sucked into something too earlier. But so far, so good on Trubisky being garbage, like I've said this year. I was right last year on Trubisky. I'm the NFC North expert. I'm right so far this year on Trubisky. I don't imagine myself being wrong. But Packers are going to win this game. They're going to blow the Broncos out. They get them at home. The offense is going to start clicking more and more. And I think by week 5, they're going to be just all go. Rodgers is going to have a bunch of weeks with them. I mean, you saw what they can do against the Vikings, against a good defense in that first quarter, 21 points. Rodgers had some amazing throws as well that were dropped later in that game, which would have kept the offense going. He also, and I don't know if you knew this, and I don't know if you watched the game. You weren't responding to any fucking thing I said.
I was really, really hungover on Saturday, but I caught a lot of football, believe it or not.
Sunday, yeah. So, what was I saying?
Sounds like you're real confident in this one.
Well, no, I was going to say something about the way Rodgers was. So the 4th and 1 play, I don't know if you were watching.
Oh, when they should have kicked the field goal?
So, he talked about that. He thought that the line judge gave him the first down because where they put it. So he tried to rush to the line thinking they had the first down to get off a play and just run the ball. When it turns out it was 4th and 1 and he didn't realize it. What he said was a bonehead play. So it wasn't the coach's fault. That one was on Rodgers, and he admitted it, by the way. So they did have a chance to score there. They would have kicked the field goal. Anyways, I think they dominate this game. I think they put together 2 quarters, which will be more than enough against the Broncos, win by double digits.
Which will be double than what they did against the Vikings. Man, you got to drop Aaron Rodgers like awareness and Madden a few points now after that.
Doubt it.
Doubt it. Joe Flacco and 2 at the Packers, 7.5. Straight up, I'm with you. I got to take the Packers. Here is what I would recommend doing if you are going to bet on this. I would buy the hook. Make it straight 7 and take the Packers. That's literally how I would play this. If you're not going to buy the hook, man, like you said, the Packers haven't completely put it together yet. The Broncos should have beat the Bears. The Bears-Packers game was really close by one of the properties that we learned back in middle school. That means this game should be pretty damn close. I think if you're getting the hook here, I think you take the Broncos and hope that it's a 3 to 7 point game. But if you're smart, you're buying the hook, you're taking the Packers. Hopefully the Packers win by 10.
If you're somebody who buys the hook, meet me at my house, give me your balls, give me your clit, whatever it is, because you just don't have one and you don't deserve it.
Once again, folks, buy the hook, take the Packers, avoid DJ's house.
We've never had balls ever since the Twisted Nut anyways.
All downhill from here. Let's go on to the Lions at the Eagles. We've got the Eagles favored by 6.5, over under of 46.5.
So we got the Eagles minus 6.5 at home. I haven't liked what I've seen out of this team. They've off to a slow start. I don't know. Wait, did they end up losing?
They lost to the Falcons Sunday Night Football.
They lost to the Falcons in Atlanta.
Yep.
Looked bad at the beginning of the game against Washington.
Yeah.
Wentz had a little bit of an injury, came back into that game. Seems to be fine.
Did you see him fall down trying to spike the ball?
No, but when he dove, that was exactly the same play he had. He tore his ACL.
Yep.
I'm going to take Eagles at home. I just don't think the Lions are that good. I think it's going to be closer than you expect. So, It doesn't. I don't feel this in my gut, but I think I would take the Lions. Still not on my card yet.
Not on the card yet. I'm actually with you both ways on this one. Straight up at home, I would take the Eagles. But yeah, against the line, I just haven't been completely sold on the Eagles yet. And the Lions have actually outperformed how I really thought they were going to do. I never thought they would hang with the Chargers. They did, won it outright. And yeah, now you're going up against the Eagles team who lost DeSean Jackson for a couple of weeks. They really haven't quite figured out who the hell's going to be the main guy at running back yet. Like, you want it to be Miles Sanders. It's just they haven't, like, broke him out quite yet. Offense just isn't quite clicking the way I think it is. And I think Stafford, the Lions, their experience, you got Kerryon Johnson coming on a bit here. You got Kenny Golladay coming on a bit here. I think they're good enough to hang within a touchdown of this. So if you really wanted to win this game, you'd buy a hook, move it up to 7, and then you would take the Lions. That's the heady play.
I hate when your voice changes in such a stupid way.
When I get excited, it goes a little high. Sticks and stones, DJ. Sticks and stones.
Yeah.
Let's move on to what could be the game of the week. The Ravens visiting the Chiefs, a pair of undefeateds. You got the Chiefs favored by 6.5, and the rare Ravens game with an over-under of 54.5. What are you feeling here?
It's not the game of the week. It's a blowout of the week. People are gonna they're gonna buy into this Ravens hype, think that Lamar Jackson is good, and the Chiefs are gonna get off to a huge lead. Lamar Jackson's gonna have to actually try to throw against a competent team, not even a good defense, just somebody who's competent and knows that Lamar Jackson stinks and won't just allow guys to like run free. Like I said, I saw Lamar Jackson miss some passes that anybody should be hitting in the NFL. He's not good. I don't like his little not bad for a running back. It's the truest thing because he's a running back, and that wasn't bad for a running back. So I agree with you, Lamar Jackson. Wasn't bad for a running back.
He was being truthful.
Let's put this on the card. 105 units. Let's go.
I love it. DJ, I love it when it's just like straight from the cuff. Like, you're talking yourself into these bets. Maybe that's what you need to do. Just listen to your own advice. I like it.
Okay, I'm gonna go type this in down there so we know for our tweet.
Yeah. Don't try to chintz me on this one.
Whatever that means.
Ooh, we gotta look it up.
Shit.
I'm going to ingratiate myself into the same beliefs that you had right here. Chiefs by 6.5. I'm the same exact way you are. Straight up, I'm Chiefs. Against the spread, I'm Chiefs. When you see a line of 54.5, that's Vegas telling you you're in line for a shootout. The Chiefs have proven time and time again, it doesn't matter who they're playing. Their better offense is going to beat whatever defense. And that includes the Ravens this year. And you're going to see Mahomes probably score 3 or 4 touchdowns again. They're going to get some running backs going. I know they're a bit dinged up, but they're really deep at the position. If you're going to get into a shootout and your quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, I am going Mahomes 100 times out of 100 times. I don't like the hook here. If you wanted to play it safe, you'd buy the hook, make it 6. But at the same time, I'm liking the Chiefs, even 6.5. It's not a carded play. I haven't had one yet. But I'm kind of leaning on maybe making this one. We'll see how it goes as we get closer to game day. But I'm with you on that one. I like the spread. I like the Chiefs. Next.
Beautiful.
All right, let's go on to the game of the week. It's the Bengals at the Bills. If that one wasn't the game of the week, this one is. Bills are favored by 6. We have an over-under of 44. What are you feeling?
So the only game I hit was the under last week. I'm going to take the Bills straight up. I'm not going to bet a side because I don't know how much the Bills are going to win by, and I could be seeing this be a push. I don't trust either one of these teams. I am at it. Let's put it on the board. Under the 44. This game, 5 units. It's going to be 13-3. 13-3 Bills win is my prediction. There is going to be they're not going to reach 20. This is going to go way under 44.
I feel like maybe you started drinking early tonight, and now you're just feeling yourself, and from now on, every single play you make is going to be 5 units.
Might be.
All right, here I am, straight up. I'm taking the Bills. I don't like the Bengals at all this year, and the Bills are quietly 2-0. Really ugly win week 1, but they get the Bengals, and the Bengals on the road are nothing that I believe in. However, against the spread here, it's 6 points. I'm still not. I told you in the last episode that Josh Allen and John Brown are my stack of the week. That means they can do fine in fantasy. I don't know that I'm quite sold on Josh Allen as that competent NFL starter that's going to be able to lead your team to victory every time. So if this Bills defense has any lapse, it's going to be a close game. So for that, I don't know that they're necessarily a touchdown better than a lot of teams in the league. Against the spread, I'm taking the Bengals. I wouldn't card it, but if you're making me make a pick, I would take the Bengals in this one.
I can't. It's tough in that one. That's why I couldn't take a side.
There you go. Take the over/under. Let's go to the next one. It's the Falcons at the Colts. We have the Colts actually favored in this one by 2, over/under of 46.5.
All right. So, what is it? Falcons or Falcons?
Well, either way it's good.
All right. Falcons at Colts minus. Colts are favored by 2 in this one. That is crazy to me.
Is that a Vegas trap?
Playing on the dome, so maybe Matt Ryan feels more comfortable. But this is a good defense. Matt Ryan fucking stinks. I'm not gonna card this one, but because this line kind of weirds me out, I'm gonna side with Colts in this. They cover and they win in this game. Matt Ryan fucking stinks. I fucking hate Matt Ryan. I hate you, Matt Ryan. You're the worst. You win games like the Eagles, you lose games like the Colts, and what you did against the Vikings, like you can't even put up numbers. You're an idiot. You suck. Everybody hates you, Matt Ryan. We hate you. We hate you. I hope you're listening. We hate you. Colts minus 2. Lock it in. It's not a card game, though.
Man, if you're listening, I've got faith in you. I don't hate you. I'm actually putting 2 units on you. I like that. I'm gonna win this because I'm only putting 2 units on it. So go ahead. I'm putting 2 units on it. You at home put 20 units on this thing. The only thing that scares me is I see this line and I'm like, Falcons should be favored by 3. This feels like a classic Vegas trap. They know more than everyone. Why the hell are the Colts favored in this game? But I think the Falcons, they ride the momentum of that Sunday night victory, comeback victory over a pretty good team in the Eagles. Their offense is going to be too much to contain. Devontae Freeman hasn't even gotten going yet. Like at some point, he's going to break out. Ito Smith has a better yards per carry. He's been more consistent with his very limited touches. But man, how about my prediction coming into the season about Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones being the top duo at wide receiver this year? It's looking pretty good so far. Yeah, Matt Ryan, he'll win those games against the Eagles. He'll turn around and he'll lose the ones that he should win. I think he's going to start showing a little bit more consistency on a week-to-week basis here. This is the week they get it going. 2 units, Matt Ryan, I believe in you, and the Falcons.
Hate them.
Hate them. Let's go on to the Raiders at the Vikings. Vikings favored by 8 here, over under of 43.
Well, the Vikings just came off a drubbing against the best team in the NFC North, maybe the best team in the entire NFC, in the Green Bay Packers.
A 1-quarter drubbing. Let's give it that.
It doesn't matter. They kicked their ass defensively, kicked their ass offensively. They just began this offense and they just shit all over the Vikings. I don't care if it's 1 quarter. I don't care if it's 4. Shit all over them. They're playing at home against the Raiders. It's still a good defense. I'm going to go Vikings, obviously straight up. I'm going to take the Vikings against the spread. They're angry. They're angry. And I just don't think once they take that lead that they're going to let up on the Raiders. I see Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen potentially both having big games in this one.
The funniest thing just happened, and it's you just shitting on the Vikings, and then a second later saying, I'm taking them straight up, and I'm taking them against the spread. It's almost like you kind of talk yourself into it reverse style. But hey, here's my theory on it. Straight up, Vikings. I'm taking the more than a touchdown favorite straight up more often than not. Against the spread here, though, God, the Raiders against the Chiefs last week, if it wasn't for that terribly dreadful second quarter, and yeah, you can't take it away, they would have hung in that game. Monday night, week 1, they obviously won against the Broncos. I don't exactly have a grasp on Oakland as a team this year, but man, the Vikings, offensively at least, besides a couple of nice Dalvin Cook runs, have really been underwhelming this year. So while I like them straight up, I don't know that they're 8 points better than a lot of teams, especially Oakland, who, look at Oakland's schedule. They are at the beginning of just a run of crazy tough games. Like Oakland, we're going to see early how really competitive Oakland is here. They got a hell of a run of games. It starts this week against the Vikings. I think they can hang. So against the spread, I would take the Raiders. Straight up though, I've got to be with you. I've got to take the Vikings here. Not a carded play though, for this one, for me anyways.
Nope.
Let's move on to one of the huge spreads. We've got the Jets, who are quarterbackless, offensive lineless, at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are favored by 75. No, they're favored by 23 with an over under of 43 and a half. The Patriots are favored by like more than double what the over under is in this game. It's pretty amazing.
Well, obviously I'm picking the Patriots straight up.
Yep.
Also, against the spread though, like I couldn't. This guy can't card this game because 23 points is a lot of fucking points, and the Patriots. I don't know what to think about the game against the Dolphins because I feel like Belichick is one of those guys like I'm going to ease off of Flores here. He's one of my guys. I'm not going to score a lot of points on him, but then he couldn't stop the defense from scoring points on them. So the defense scored, but he couldn't control that. He can only control the offense doing those things. So when they get pick sixes, he can't like stop that. So he's like, well, fuck, I can't really do anything about it. So that's just kind of what you're going to have to deal with. In this case, I don't think he has any allegiances, nor does anybody in the world like Adam Gase at all. So I could see them putting the hurt on them, but I don't know. It's so tough. Their defense is good this year. Offense is good this year. This might be the best Patriots team since the goddamn Randy Moss year.
Oh, I think hands down it has to be. What have they given up this year? 3 points, and they've scored 33 plus 43, like 76. If my math is somewhat accurate, like over 70 points and giving up 3.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. I don't like either one against the spread, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with the Jets because that's too many points. But if you're going to pick the Patriots, you can't take the under 43 and a half.
No.
You just can't.
No, because you got to cheer for every point you can get, especially in the NFL. Yeah. The Jets give up a garbage touchdown. You can literally be up 29 or 30 points and still lose this game just because of the shittiest touchdown that the Patriots don't care about.
Yeah, it's just like it's too scary to have a team that you're going to side for that's favored by 23 and the spread be 43, right, and think that betting the under and the Patriots would be a good idea.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that Patriots game last week too was they ended up settling for a few field goals in that game, which they missed. And Brady missed a couple of throws to AB in the end zone. That game could have been even worse than what it was. You don't need to tell anyone that you're taking the Patriots straight up. If you're taking the Jets straight up in this game, you're outright. You're just a bad person. Like, there's no forgiving that. You cannot. What?
If Sam Darnold was just because it's at the Patriots, I wouldn't. But if it was Sam Darnold at home, I would consider it.
And if the Jets had shown anything, like prior to that, besides giving up a 16-point lead week 1 to Josh Allen, like they just haven't shown it yet. Here's the thing, 23 points in the NFL. What I hate is that the Jets are down to like Luke Falk. Is that how you say his name? Falk?
Falk.
And they just signed David Fales, I believe. Look at his last name. He's telling you what he's going to do. He's going to fail. If that guy gets in, it's lights out. Patriots should win this game by 40. If they wanted to, they probably could. But it's the NFL. It's the idea that you could give up a touchdown at the end to the Jets, even if you're up by 30 and still cover this. Yeah, against the spread, I would have to go the Jets, but there's zero chance I'm betting on this game. It's not a carded play whatsoever.
No, I can't card that. Fuck that, man.
Let's go on to the other monster spread because it's the Dolphins at the Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 21.5, over under of 47. Before you start on this one, I do find it somewhat comical that the Patriots are favored by more than the Cowboys are when the Dolphins are blatantly trying to lose. I think this spread it could be 40 and I wouldn't touch it. And also that the fact that the Patriots spread against the Jets is bigger than what it was against the Dolphins. So I think Vegas realized we need to make these Patriots spreads so big or we're never going to get money on the other side.
Well, I'm kind of curious to see who the Patriots play next week because I'm sure it's going to go from 23.5 to like 5, like a normal spread. And it'll be like the biggest difference between one week to the other in a season.
No shit.
But, yeah, did you already say the spread in the over-under here?
21.5, 47.
So, obviously, again, Cowboys don't really have to say much here. Dolphins fucking quit. 21 and a half, it still isn't enough.
No.
If you're playing against a good team and it's the Dolphins, I said the only thing that would get me to side with the Dolphins is 30 points. 21 and a half is 8.5 points less than 30. That means I take the Cowboys.
I text you already this week, and I don't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, but literally almost a full week before this game is going to get played, because I'm in a fantasy league where I've got Patrick Mahomes and I've got Dak Prescott. And I want to use Dak Prescott so bad just based on this matchup.
I think you can.
You calmed me down. You said, dude, you never rest your stud. You definitely don't rest Patrick Mahomes and the 75 touchdowns he's going to throw this year. But I think that matchup is so juicy for all those players. Dude, if Gallup was playing, he'd go for 202 touchdowns. Cooper's playing, so he will. Man, you've got Jason Witten's probably going to put up like a 70-yard, 1-touchdown day. Zeke might run for $150 on like 15 carries. They're going to slaughter him. There's no way this Dolphins defense is hanging with everyone, especially a team that's looked as good as the Cowboys. I know I just said it's the NFL and no team that's favored by 20+ should cover. Gun to my head, though, I'm betting on the Cowboys, and that's from a lifelong Dolphins fan. Not touching it, not a carded game, but take every team against the Dolphins and just cash. Just take the money.
My point was if you take Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes goes off for like 5-6 touchdowns, which he easily can, and Dak has 2 or 3, you're gonna regret it. If you take Patrick Mahomes and he has 3, but they're like 80-yard touchdowns, and Dak has 4 or whatever, like you're not gonna be disappointed that you took Mahomes if he's a little bit lesser than Dak, because it's no matter what, if it was lesser, it would be just a tiny bit lesser. It's the other way. It could be Zeke Elliott scoring 5 touchdowns.
Right. It easily could. It easily could. It could be a Zeke week. Like Dak could. The Cowboys could win this game by 30, and Dak could maybe throw 1 touchdown. Like that's how much like success Zeke could have. And the defense could score all the points like New England did last week. Let's move on to a game that has a more realistic point spread. It's the Buccaneers at home, favored by 6.5 against the Giants, and newly mentioned starting quarterback Daniel Jones. We have an over/under of 47.5. How you feel?
The Giants can't get worse. They just can't. Like Eli stinks. People are like looking at the numbers and being like, "Oh, he doesn't look that bad." No, he does. If you watch him play football, he is that bad. Like he needs to just call it a day. Yep. Maybe they'll trade him. There's probably people out there who think like, "Oh, Eli can help me," but no, he can't. He's a backup at best. Like he's bad. He's a bad quarterback. You don't want to see him on the field. 6.5 is a big spread for a team that's not won a game.
Very good.
No, they beat the Panthers, so they're 1-1. So a team that's 1-1.
Yeah.
Jameis can throw interceptions at any time. That's a big spread for a game like that. You don't know what to expect out of Daniel Jones. God, they have Saquon Barkley. This is tough. I'm not going to card this one because I'm not confident. I don't feel it. I don't feel good about this one. I don't have it in my zone. The Bucs took out Christian McCaffrey, like you mentioned earlier. So I do think the Bucs will win this because it's at Tampa Bay. I think if it was whoever was at home, I think I would just pick them. And then against the spread, this is tough. I'm still going to Daniel Jones' first game. He's nervous. He might lean on Saquon the whole time. He might not know what to do. I'm going to stick with the Bucs on both sides of this. It's at 6.5 points. Makes me think I want to lean towards the 7 because I like that number. So I'm going to go with the Bucs on both sides.
Could this be one of those examples of it's a quarterback's first time in a real regular season pro game? There's not really all that much tape on him. He might actually take more shots downfield than what old check down Eli Manning was doing so far this year, and they just don't have the tape on him, and it kind of catches them off guard. There's a chance that happens. So for that reason, I'm taking the Bucs straight up, but against the spread, not a carded play. Don't quote me on that. I'm taking the Giants straight up on this one, though. Like you said, 6.5. That's like a big point spread usually in the NFL. That's on the bigger side. It just doesn't seem that way because the 2 games we talked about it before that were both 20+ point spreads. But yeah, it is a rookie quarterback, but what he did in a limited action in the preseason was impressive. They can't get much worse. I'm not a huge fan in Winston. I'm not a huge fan in the Bucs. I know it's at Tampa. They can stay within a touchdown, though. By the half point, boost it to 7, take the Giants.
I hate you.
Panthers, 2.5 at the Cardinals. 47 is your over/under. Man, who'd have thought that the Panthers would only be favored by 2.5 coming into the season against the team that's had like the number 11 pick in the draft 2 years ago and the number 1 pick this year? Like, it doesn't seem to add up.
This pick makes me so uncomfortable. I'm going to put it on the board.
I saw that coming.
Put it on the board. 5 units. Panthers -2.5. Everybody's going to be like, no, Cam Newton. They have this backup quarterback in. Kyler Murray's going to finally win the game at home. Nope, it's not going to happen that way. They're on the road. They're going all the way out west to Arizona, and they're still favored by 2.5. No chance. Kyler stinks. That offense stinks. Cliff Kingsbury sucks. Like, it's not going to work with him. He just isn't good. He's been fired, like you said, from Texas Tech. He's just trash. Panthers are going to cover and win this game. And it's going to be like, well, shit, maybe the Cardinals are actually really bad, and this Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury thing isn't going to work out.
I'm with you. Straight up and against the spread, I'm taking the Panthers. But man, if there was like a game I'd be least confident in, it's gotta be this one. Did you watch Thursday night last week when the Panthers played the Bucks?
That's why I'm taking 2.5, because I'm so uncomfortable.
Painful, just painful. I said this years ago. The way that Cam Newton throws the ball, it was like he hardly had to step into. It was all arm. The dude had a power arm, could rocket it between defenders with the ball was like a long handoff. The dude had a cannon. And I said that as soon as something happens to his arm, or if he gets a little bit older and he doesn't change up his mechanics, it's going to come back to bite him. Well, and guess what? The dude's hurt all the time. He looks aged. He actually looks like a grandmother when he does his press conferences. I think he's literally trying to resemble in his press conference what he looks like on the field, because he was carbon copy after that Thursday game. The Cardinals really stink too, though. I don't know what to do on this one. Gun to my head. Give me the Panthers, just because I'm not a believer in Kyler quite yet. God, it's tough.
Let's go. Oh, wait, I got to go put that down there. Panthers -2.5 versus Cardinals.
There
Perfect.
you go. Another 5-unit max wager for DJ. I love it.
Oh, I feel winners, boys.
Let's go on to another team that lost its quarterback, the New Orleans Saints, without Drew Brees, visiting Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 4 at home, over under of 44.5. What are you feeling here?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to make this simple. I was very discouraged about what the Saints look like without Drew Brees.
Right.
And Teddy Bridgewater, I thought, is a pretty decent quarterback. Taysom Hill is way worse. And I still didn't like this. If he gets in, definitely don't like the Saints. But even with Bridgewater, I don't like them. The secondary for the Saints is bad. Seahawks just sweep this one for me.
You literally said what I was going to say on that one. The Saints were so underwhelming. Like, game was hyped up so much because it was the whole NFC Championship rematch of last year, the game that had the famous penalty that changed NFL pass interference as we know it. And man, it just kind of dudded. Like, Drew Brees hits his thumb on some dude's helmet. He's out for 6 weeks, and Teddy Bridgewater comes in, and they proceed to lose by 17 or 20 some points. Like, it wasn't even close at that point. Going to Seattle, even when Seattle's not at its best, is a super hard place to play. This game stays under 6, stays under 7. I'm Seattle all the way, straight up and against the spread. I told you that I was going to do this. I'm going to do an instant reaction, live wager on this game. Make it a carded play. Give me the Seahawks for a confident 1 whole unit.
Oh, he's 100% that bitch.
That just won. That literally just won you guys money. Let's go on to the next one. It's the Texans at the Chargers. We got the Chargers favored by 3.5, over under of 47.5.
So Evan's doing over this while you were talking and I wasn't listening. And I like the Chargers both ways here. I like a good quarterback with a pretty solid team coming off of a loss, playing at home against a team whose weakness is the Chargers' strength. Like, their weakness is blocking for Deshaun Watson, and the Chargers' strength is killing your quarterback. And I said multiple times this offseason, I think that Deshaun Watson could die this season because he's so skinny and he wants to run around and he's going to get hit a lot. This is the game. Mark it down. This is my Deshaun Watson gets killed guarantee 5-unit bet. Chargers -3.5 at home. Let's go.
The best is watching. Me and DJ have a live document with the spreads on everything, and just watching him as he's speaking put in 5 units for this team, 5 units for that team. It is
All right.
totally. He wasn't lying. He is going off the cusp. He's making it happen this week. He's digging himself out of that hole. This is how it happens. This is how it starts. So here's my take on this game. Straight up, I'm taking the Chargers at home, 3.5. This is what scares me. We saw the Chargers as slight favorites last week against the Lions. I personally thought they would probably not blow them out, but double-digit win wouldn't have surprised me. They lost straight up. The Chargers are notorious for having to win a game or hold on to a lead late in the game. The Texans are a fairly decent team yet. I think they're a pretty good team. If you're going to make this, give it with the hook, I feel like I have to take the underdog in this one because it's either going to be the Chargers having to hold on to a lead at the very end or march down the field and kick a game-winning field goal. And guess what? Last time I checked, I don't know if I'm 100% sure on this. I'm pretty sure the Chargers are using their punter as their kicker. In a game with a hook when it's 3.5, I don't like a team that doesn't have a very stable kicker right now. So put it on the kicker. Take the Texans against the spread, not a carded game.
I locked it in. I'm winning.
You already got it locked in. There it is. Before we go on to the final 3 games on the slate, check out pristineauction.com. Tons of stuff for the man cave. When you register there, enter registration code LOADED and you will get $5 added to your account to put towards an item that you have successfully bid on and won. Also, check us out on Twitter at LoadedBox. Find the tweet where we are talking about our Amari Cooper signed Dallas Cowboys mini helmet. All the information of how you get entered to win is located in that tweet. So find that. Check out our friends over at Pristine Auction. Try to get entered to win that mini helmet that we're going to be giving away. It's a Sunday night game here, I think in 2 weeks when the Cowboys play the Saints or the Steelers. I can't quite remember, but it's coming up in like 2 weeks. So make sure you check that out. Speaking of the Steelers, DJ, the Steelers are at the 49ers. It's Mason Rudolph's first NFL start. We got the 49ers favored by 6.5 over under a 43. How you feeling here?
Well, I've never been a big fan of country singers, so I don't think I can side with Mason Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but I might have to side with the country singer. It reminds me of kind of like Mason Ramsey. You know who Mason Ramsey is?
Mason Ramsey. Didn't he kill a bunch of people?
No, that's a different guy. But that's the yodeling Yellow Walmart kid who's famous now.
How do you know this?
I know everything. I hate this game. This is definitely not going to be on my card. I don't like the 49ers whatsoever. I think, just based off of gut instinct, I know it's Mason Rudolph, but he wasn't terrible in the game that he played. I think I'll take the Steelers straight up. This is my upset here.
Ooh.
And the Steelers against the spread. Obviously, if I'm taking them against the spread, I'm going to take them. I'm taking them straight up. I'm taking them against the spread. I don't think the 49ers are good. I think this is where Jimmy Garoppolo, you really see the struggle come out. You saw it in game 1. He didn't look good. Game 2, he looked better against a shit team. But this game, he's going to throw a few interceptions, and it's going to look like shit again. And the 49ers fans are going to boo him, and it's going to be great. And this is going to be the beginning of the end for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Based on the Dolphins' curse, Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to intercept 2 passes. He's going to force 3 fumbles, and the Steelers will probably end up winning. But here's my actual realistic take on it. 49ers are going to move to 3-0. You heard that right. The 49ers with your boy Jimmy Garoppolo 3-0. But against the line, it's that whole thing I just talked about with Daniel Jones. The tape's not out yet. There's not the tape on Mason Rudolph yet. And yeah, he looked good in some of that action, filling in for Roethlisberger last week. The Steelers are still a decent team. I'm not totally out on them yet. I got to see how Rudolph plays here a couple of weeks. For that, I think they can stay within a touchdown. Not a carded play, but if I'm going against the line, going to take the underdog here. I think it's kind of a week of the dogs. I'm taking the Steelers.
Yeah, I like it. But you should take them straight up, too. Money line that game. Sprinkle a little bit on that money line there.
5 units.
No, I'm not doing that.
Sunday night football. We've got the Rams favored by 3.
I've been waiting all day for Sunday night.
How disappointed is Carrie Underwood this year? I feel like they picked her like maybe this is a telltale sign that maybe she's aging. Like they picked her. I thought, I mean, her voice is fine. It's whatever. People don't care about the voice. It was the legs, and there's no legs in this video.
No legs, huh?
Carrie Underwood lost her legs on breaking news.
The problem with the problem with having kids nowadays is I never get to see like the pre-Monday Night Football, pre-Sunday Night Football games because I have to like give some attention in between that like 20 minutes I have until the football game starts. So I miss the singing, and then I get there right when the football game starts. I did see a tiny bit of it while washing the dishes. Missed the no legs though.
Yeah, you're not missing much. You're definitely not missing much. You're not missing as much as Carrie is. That's when your wife prays that those games don't go into overtime, so you do have that 20 minutes in between games. So speaking of Sunday night, Rams favored by 3 at the Browns. How you feeling here?
All right. Well, I didn't like, even with the win against the Jets, I did not like what I saw of the Browns. Like, I didn't feel like they dominated. I felt like they struggled against the Sam Darnold-less team to get up and down the field. Odell had to have a huge touchdown.
Right.
I didn't like that. I didn't like what I saw at the Browns. I feel like they haven't gelled yet. I'm not fully confident yet in their defense from week 1. I mean, Tennessee went and put a shellacking on them. Another word. What was that other word you said earlier? Fucking...
defer.
No, it was something with the chin.
I don't want to say it again. I will fuck it up.
I think the Rams win this game. Again, I'm not confident in Jared Goff either. But I've seen more of the Rams, right? We've done it for now a year and a half. We've seen Sean McVay put together an offense, a defense that has Aaron Donald, who honestly can't be blocked. Because the Browns' offensive line, they were kind of letting the Jets' defensive line manhandle them as well. And what do you think a guy like Aaron Donald, who sometimes just looks like he goes unblocked, like he's so good, it doesn't make any sense to me.
No, he slides right by people. It's ridiculous.
They might be able to run, and that might be their best chance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to go Rams both ways here.
And
it might be a push here. It could definitely be a push, but I like the Rams.
Got to buy that hook then. If you think it's going to be a push, buy that hook. I'm opposite. Both here, I am actually going to take the Browns because what you said against the Jets isn't wrong. Like, yeah, the Browns should have looked better, I feel like, in that game. But here's my take on it. When Drew Brees was in that game against the Saints, it was like 3-3 the whole time. Like the Rams should have looked better, in my opinion, as well. Like that was a game they should have been up for. They didn't really score all that much until the end and once Brees was out. So yeah, I'm a little bit down on the Rams, and I think you're getting a primetime game in Cleveland. Hopefully this last Monday night gave the Browns a little bit of momentum. I think Jarvis Landry's going to end up having a 7-catch, 48-yard game. He's going to get back into his old ways. He's going to get into the swing of things. I think you're going to see the Browns pull this upset here. I'm not opposed to taking them both straight up and against the spread.
Shaking my head.
Just shaking my damn head. We got one more game. It's Monday Night Football. It's the Bears, the team that disappointed me and my loyal followers last week. They're favored by 4 this week against the old racial slurs. What do you have for this Monday night matchup?
You don't even have an over-under on these last 2 games.
Figured you weren't going to use it.
I would go under. I don't care what the under is in this game.
Over-under is 17.5.
I don't want to say that the Bears will win this game, but I don't think the Redskins can do anything. So I think the Bears can win like 3-0, like legitimately. But I'm going under. Like this game, I'm going to look right now while we're talking about it. Without knowing what the over-under is?
Let's just word it.
Like 30s.
Let's just word it as DJ's taking the under on the unknown spread. I like the uncertainty. You can name whatever you want the spread to be later. It's a guaranteed win.
If it was like 36-38, I'd be even more exciting because you know how I am with like those really low spreads or really high spreads.
That I do.
I love them. So whatever the under is, which I'm going to give you after Ben talks a little bit here, I'm taking that.
Fair enough. Well, this is my third and final carded play of the week. And I said after that Bears-Broncos game last week, I'm like, you know what? I'm fed up with the Broncos. They are the Bears. They are the worst. They are inept on offense. I'm never betting on them again. Well, here I am. I'm a degenerate. That was really obnoxious. I'm a degenerate. You're a degenerate. Dive in. Go back to the well once more. I think the Redskins, like, they're not that good. And the Bears defense, they're going to keep the Redskins at bay. At some point, Mitch Trubisky is going to throw a couple of touchdown passes. At some point, Tariq Cohen's going to find the end zone. At some point, David Montgomery is going to run for 100 yards and a score or two. Man, maybe it's this week. Go back. The Bears are coming off of like a very momentum building type of win. Literally giving up the lead with no time left, being able to hit Allen Robinson on Mitch Trubisky's best play of the entire day, setting up Eddie Pinheiro and the team that hasn't been able to kick a field goal, and they've been cursed by the double doink, letting him hit a monster game-winning field goal as time expired like that. That's one that you can build on. You're playing a down team. Give me the Bears straight up against the spread, 2 units.
I mean, I'm doing it 5 units, Bears, Redskins, under 41.5, my 5th. 25 units. We're going to be up 5 units after this. Ben is floored by it. He fell over. His shelving that he told me he was going to get up, apparently, because he was busy last night, hasn't been put up yet at all. It's still sitting on the counter. He's a big liar.
I ran out of money on that project because I invested it all in your picks, you asshole.
Yeah.
All right, DJ, that's every single game on the week 3 slate. Next week, we've got bye week, so there's not going to be quite as many to choose from. But any last things you want to tell the listener as we head into week 3 in the NFL?
5-0. 5-0. Lock it in.
Book it. As always, check us out on Twitter at LoadedBox. Check out our website, loadedboxpodcast.com. All of our podcasts, all of our articles, our start sits, our sleeper picks, our daily fantasy stuff, top 3 games to watch. Everything you need in life is there. Next episode, we'll be back with our Week 4 fantasy football preview, available on however you listen to a podcast. And DJ, send us out.
Bye!
Hit the G sharp.